Hi, this is Tom, the old guy from Delaware. I'd like to make a comment on the local politics here. As you may or may not know, Mike Castle has flip-flopped back and forth between the governorship and the congressman and God knows what all. And he's 71 years old, or he was going to run for the Senate seat previously held by Joe Biden, who is now the Vice President of the United States, and who I believe everybody has come to see is as dumb as a box of rocks. But in any event, Miss O'Donnell, who's the Republican candidate, beat Mike Castle by a large majority, and large margin rather, and the Republican Party refuses to back her. Seems like a playbook from the old school to me, where they don't want anybody new that they can't control, or they don't know what they're going to do. Mike Castle, on the other hand, voted with the Democrats most of the time. He voted for cap and trade, which if that goes through, we are all going to pay the price, and it's not going to be a pretty sight. And it'll be too late to stop it once they put it in effect. It's going to put a tax on companies like electric companies and everybody that manufactures anything for the carbon output. Now, what they mean by carbon is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is what you and I breathe out when we breathe. When we breathe in, it's oxygen. We breathe it out, it's carbon dioxide. And then the plants and the grass and the trees convert that carbon dioxide into oxygen, and that's the cycle, the life cycle. Well, they want to tax the carbon dioxide that is produced from a steam plant, for instance, just in the natural course of things, which of course to me is just ridiculous. It's like taxing you. Well, they tax us for pretty much everything now, but it's like when you take a shower, you'd pay an extra $5 tax. That's how stupid it is. Anyway, just this morning there was a conversation, can't think of the word right now, a debate between Chris COONS and Miss O'Donnell. And already the news bureaus are misreporting what Christine has said to make her look like a fool, when it was really Chris COONS who came off the fool. The question had to do with the separation of church and state. And Chris COONS said that's in the Constitution. And Christine said, "Are you telling me that's in the Constitution?" And of course the answer is, no, it's not. Doesn't appear anywhere. No separation of church and state. What it says is that the government will not establish any type of religion. They wanted to get away from what happened over in England, where the church ruled the country. Just like in Muslim countries, the church, or in that case, the mosque, rules the country, and it's called Sharia law, and that's where they treat women like rats and cut their head off whenever they feel like it. Anyway, so the news media is trying to push Chris COONS. Last Friday, President Obama and Joe Biden came to Delaware, a little tiny state, to support Chris COONS, and there's a photograph attached to this. And I'm just going to say, I wonder whose pocket Chris COONS is in, the Obama's or Biden's, because he sure isn't in mine, and he isn't in yours. He's already a proven liar. He ran on a ticket of not raising taxes, and of course he did. He raised taxes. He's a tax and spend liberal. He brags that a communist professor or Marxist professor shaped his future while he was in college. I don't need to know a whole lot more about the guy than to say, well, if you are that stupid that you didn't have the common sense to know that communism and socialism doesn't work, and yet you state that that man shaped your future thinking, then I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want you to be the dog catcher, because that tells me you don't have a lot of common sense. But anyway, back to the matter at hand. Christine is getting thrown under the bus by the Republican Party, and everybody's making a big joke out of it and things she did 20 years ago. Well, those of you who are over 35 years old, stop and think a minute and tell me if there's something in your past 15, 20 years ago that you would rather not come out into the public. I think we've all done dumb things when we're kids. And as we grow up, those that don't learn their lessons wind up in jail or wind up broke or wind up in a lot of trouble. The majority of us, as we become adults, we think like adults and we make up our mind in a proper manner, lawful, legal, and proper. I wouldn't trust Chris COONS with a dollar bill. As far as Christine is concerned, she's a novice. I'd rather have someone that doesn't know the ins and outs and workings and whose hand you have to kiss and whose butt you have to kiss to get anything done in the United States Senate. I'd rather have someone that would do what you and I would do and say, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. That's just stupid. I'd rather have someone that said that than to say, oh, well, we have to go along with the other party because it's the way it's supposed to be, and I've been told what to vote for. No, I want somebody to think on their own and do what's good for the people of the United States and the citizens of Delaware. And if it involves I wouldn't last a minute in the Senate. I'd be hollering all the time. Say, how dumb are you people? How dumb do you think we are to try to pass a stupid law? You pass a 2,000-page law and say, oh, we don't know what's in it, but we're sure when we pass it, you're going to like it. Yeah, well, guess what? Nobody likes it. I'm talking about the health care law. I wish some people had stood up and said, hey, how dumb is this to pass a 2,000-page law for trillions of dollars without reading the damn thing? Does that make sense to you? Would you buy a car and they said, oh, just sign the paperwork. We'll fill it out later, and you're going to like the cost of the car when you get the paperwork and the bill in the mail. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that sounds pretty good to me. Just where do I sign? Well, that's how business has been, and it's time for a change. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. It's not going to happen overnight, but boy, Obama sure has been fast in the last year and a half. And speaking of that, does anybody really want to know how much money Obama has spent for he and his family's personal travel, their vacations, the people they have come in every week to put on some kind of a fancy show just for them and their friends? And he has his steak imported from somewhere out west at $15 a pound or something ridiculous. I'd like to know how much money we're spending on him to go around the country and go back into campaign mode again with all this enthusiasm and his sleeves rolled up and we've got to do this and stop them from doing that and work with me and it'll all be all right. It'll be great. They're hoping change. Yeah, well, I'm hoping there is a change and the change puts a stop to Obama's agenda. And the agenda appears to me to be the government takes over the entire country and you can't buy a light bulb or a tube of toothpaste without the government's approval. And you can't raise your kids. You can't teach your children anything. And the next thing you know, they've already taken God out of our system. The country was founded on the teachings of God. and the 10 Commandments, and you can't get past that. You can bury it, and they've done a good job a little bit at a time. If you stop and think about it, there's only a handful of people that have had a tremendous effect on this country. And all these czars that he's appointed are accountable to no one but him. And they can establish laws and rules that we have to follow without anybody voting on them or knowing what they're about or what's going on. That's okay if you live in Iran, where the mullahs tell you what to do, and if you don't do it, you're dead. But it's not okay for me. It's not okay for the United States, and I think we need to stop it. So give some thought to the upcoming election. And if Christine seems new and unsure of herself, she promises, I'll do what you would do. You let me know, and if you're not happy in 4 years, vote me out of office. But I'll do the best I can, and I won't be in anybody's pocket, and I won't be beholden to anybody. And that's all I have to say. So have a good day, and be sure to vote. Thank you.